my steel cable on my worn winch, which is only a year old, snapped while I was plowing. I started to back up and I hadn't raised the plow. I still don't think that would have snapped this. I don't understand the mechanics of it and trying to figure it out, but I think what happens, just the cable just wore out somehow. I've done quite a bit of plowing last winter and this winter, but I still, just doesn't seem like this heavy steel cable should have snapped. But I'm gonna repair it myself and I'll show you how I'm gonna do that. First, I'm gonna clamp it into here, use my Sawzall. What do you want, dog? Use my Sawzall to try and cut this. And then I bought a new little assembly and I'll show you that here in a second. Here's the snapped end piece. I'm just gonna leave this, well, I'm gonna take this apart here so I can use this. But I need to recreate this loop with this clamp. So you use this guy, and I just got this for $1.75 at the hardware stores, in those with all the bins that have the specialty items. And then because this was in a mixed bin, I couldn't tell if this was a 1/4 inch or the smaller one, and the 1/4 inch was empty, and then this was over in like the 3/16 or something like that, 3/8, I can't remember. And I was like, I'm just not sure which one to use. 3/16, yeah. So I went to another store, Baumgar's, and bought this little kit for $2.99. So I'll just have some extras lying around if I need them. But what we're gonna do is cut that line outside and then create the loop, slip it through, come up, loop, and then back in. And then they have a crimping device you can buy, but I didn't want to pay a bunch of money for that. And so the other thing you do is chisel. The word I couldn't remember. Set the chisel on it and just give it a couple of good wraps, maybe one on each side, and it should cinch it down nice and tight. Otherwise, a replacement cable for my winch was going to be about $100, and I didn't want to do that. So for $3, I'll fix it myself. I went to the store. I couldn't find anybody that knew what these were, and so I couldn't find them. And so I got these because I saw another guy do the same thing, and it would be the same concept. You're just gonna, I bought some lock washers, and you're just gonna cinch it down, and the guy online put 2 of these on. So if that's all you have access to, I think it'll just do the trick. Well, it did the trick for him, but I wanted something like this. So when I went back, as usually happens in a hardware store, I found a guy who actually knew what I wanted and took me right to the little drawer that had them. Yeah, I was a little worried about that with the Sawzall, it fraying a little bit. That's why I put it in this clamp, but they have a cutting device. Again, another big old ratcheting device that cuts these cleanly, but I didn't want to buy that, so I'm gonna undo this, try and crimp this all back tight, and then slide, make a loop and slide it through this, and then loop, and then back into this, and then give it a whack and cinch it tight. Okay, pushing it through the first time, I was able to flatten it out a little bit because there's 2 holes. There's a wider gap going through the first time. But then coming back through, I can't flatten it out. It's gotta be that exact size. And so I've been trimming the head of this down using these metal shears to get it a more pointed dynamic. So when I loop it and try and send it back through, I'm hoping that it'll go back through cleanly, but it's gonna be a tight fit. Okay, I got it through. I had to point that tip quite a bit, which I don't like. Now I've got all these little sharp pieces sticking out. I guess I could slide it back a bit, but it was tough to get through. And wear a glove on your hand. I cut my hand with it. But all right, I'm gonna give it a whack and cinch it down, and that should do the trick. Right. So I just gave it a few whacks on each side, and man, it cinched down. This as tight as can be against that. It's not going anywhere. Again, the only drawback is that I've got this stuff hanging out here, and you guys could probably do a better job than I did. And I probably should have just kept this slid down right on the end there to cover all that up. But saved me $100, and it is what it is. So we'll just have to be careful of that. I'm gonna take this unit off. Just open this pin up here, slide that out, and then put this end assembly onto here. And I'll be back in business. Cheap, easy fix. So hopefully that was helpful to you. It's stinking cold. Come on, dog. Is it cold? It's like 15 degrees right now. It was negatives last night. Just real quick, after I put this on, I thought, well, I'll just wrap duct tape around it just to keep my hands safe. See how long that lasts. Just gave it 5 or 6 wraps. So it's pretty solid and looks good. All right, guys, I come out here to plowed my driveway, go to do my neighbors, and it popped out. So I didn't cinch it tight enough. I was worried I didn't cinch one end tight enough. Yeah, I can see it in there. Dadgummit. Now I'm gonna have to do this whole process over because it's cinched enough that I won't be able to slide that through. Now my plow's sitting in my neighbor's driveway. So if you do this, cinch that baby down tight. So frustrating. All right, everything I had shown you should have worked, but I didn't cinch this guy down enough, so it popped out. So luckily I had bought those 2 clamps, and I just went ahead and cinched those on, and those aren't going to go anywhere. So if that's all you can get and use, then that'd be great for you. So good deal. So I was saying, if you can only buy these clamps, I actually, instead of buying quarter, I bought the 3/16 so they'd cinch tight, and you can see that's almost a better cinch than this guy. But actually what I'd probably do in the future, if this will hold for the winter, I'll just leave it, but I'll cut this off and redo the whole assembly. And I think I might throw one of these and one of these on, and that'll be just perfect. But yeah, if you put this on, make sure you really hammer it down tight, because like I said, after just 10 minutes of plowing, I went to pull and just poof, popped right out. But those 2 deals there should work just great. I don't think they're going anywhere.